What's going on, everybody? My name is Aiden, and welcome back to another episode of Chicago Bulls Weekly, where we discuss the previous week for the Chicago Bulls, the wins and the losses, the ups and the downs, the upsets and the happiness, while we also discuss the future week for the Bulls that we have to come. I would say this week overall was a pretty special week in general. Of course, a big disappointment that happened this week, but it ultimately ended in a positive note. So let's discuss it in this video. Before we get any further, if you liked the video and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe if you are new. And let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls, their previous week, and the upcoming week to come. We had 3 games to look forward to this week, and we ended up going 2-1. So ultimately, a positive record. I think most Bulls fans would be taking that at this point in the season. And you know what? This first game that took place, I don't know if it's just you, but it felt like it's been ages since I saw this game. The Bulls beat the Charlotte Hornets 115-108 in an overtime fashion. Now, you guys know exactly how I feel about overtime. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of OT games because when you lose them, they sting dramatically. I'd rather win in the fourth quarter pretty comfortably than have to go through heart in your mouth type of moments and you lose them as well. Thankfully, when we went to overtime, we stole the show, outscored the Charlotte Hornets by 7 points. Pretty balanced game all the way through, and the Bulls won the game, so I can't complain too much in the end. We can move on from this one pretty quickly. It did feel like it was ages ago since I saw it. Then this game against the Wizards, we choked. We didn't choke. We got embarrassed. We lost this game 125-107. The reason why this game pissed me off so badly is, one, because it was a winnable game. When you verse the Wizards, they're one of the worst teams in the league, and you could have really got some momentum going, maybe won a couple of games in a row that we just wasted. 2, when Josh Giddey basically said that they had a roll out of bed to win the game type of mentality, basically suggesting they didn't need to try to beat the Washington Wizards. Now, you guys know, in the NBA, anybody can beat anybody. Countless superstars have said it. So it pissed me off when someone said that, because if that is really what the Bulls were thinking in their hearts, they have so much more to learn and such a way to go in order to get to the good team that we all want them to be. And that does hurt a little bit, in my opinion. It was an embarrassing statement to make, but if true, it's an embarrassing mentality to have. And I hope we never see it again. And I don't necessarily know if this New York Knicks game was them learning from that, or maybe it was just a special night and a special occasion. But the Bulls won this game 139-126 against the Knicks. It was a really positive night because obviously it was the Derrick Rose ceremony. Most people love Derrick Rose, and I am a big fan of Derrick Rose. I'm so happy that he got a chance to be remembered in the United Center in front of the Chicago Bulls home crowd. Obviously against the Knicks as well. He's played with the Knicks twice. He's had a lot of his career with the Knicks also. It was just a perfect match in my opinion. Both fan bases gave a very good ovation for D Rose. And it was such a nice kind of atmosphere and feeling to be a part of. And the Bulls delivered a great offensive night. Defensively, we were still a liability. We always are a liability defensively. But at least offensively, we stole the show. With that being said, we have awards to give. The Must Improve of the Week, the Sixth Man of the Week, the Defensive Player of the Week, and the Player of the Week in general. So, my Must Improve is not necessarily going to go to a specific player. My must improve is the mentality of the team. As I mentioned before, the must improve is hard to give individually this week because individually, I don't think anyone really stood out for a horrible week, right? But when people are coming out speaking about the mentality of the team, that to me is where the must improve has to lie this week. I don't ever want to hear someone say, nor do I ever want to hear someone admit that the Bulls have a bad mentality and they can feel like they can win games without trying. This is the NBA, man. And especially in this day of the NBA, that is not a good mentality to have. And when you say that in a bad loss as well, it's shameful and it should never happen. So hopefully that is a message learnt, well received. Don't do it again. Don't have that type of mentality again. And look, by all means, they're probably going to have that type of mentality again, and this time they just won't speak about it. That's not what I want. I want genuine improvements in the mentality of the team. So that's where my must improve will go, and I think it's pretty simple in that regard. Now, moving on. The Defensive Player of the Week. This one, I think, has a little bit more interest in it, if you know what I mean. Because defensively, we weren't very good this week. But I'm going to give it to a player that probably statistically doesn't necessarily have the greatest week overall, but I think Lonzo Ball was probably the best defender we have this week. The reason I'm saying that is because when we were playing the Washington Wizards, it felt like Lonzo Ball was the only player that actually tried defensively in that game. That's honestly how I felt with the Chicago Bulls. It hurts to say, it's not a nice feeling, but that's kind of why I'm giving him the defensive player of the week, because at least defensively, I felt like he was the only one that was active on that end. It does hurt, you know. It does hurt to say that. No one wants to see the Bulls kind of be so lackluster on that end. I don't think anyone wants to see that. So, yeah, that's kind of where it goes for me. Moving on to the sixth man of the week, I'm kind of just looking through the stats here before I give an opinion on it. So, because I think a couple of guys kind of stood out this week in terms of the sixth man of the week, but also there are a couple of guys that didn't necessarily have a great week as well. So I'm just, trying to go through the stats, see what ends up happening. But you know what? I may as well give the player of the week while I do this, because that is, in my opinion, a simple one. My player of the week might go to Coby White. The reason why I'm picking Coby White, he had a great game against the Knicks. He had a great game against Charlotte. He had an okay game against the Wizards. All in all, played 3 games this week, probably stood out the most. Zach LaVine is another contender for this, but Zach LaVine did miss a week for the Chicago Bulls. So I would say that is probably a reason why I wouldn't go with him. And yeah, I think it's as simple as that. In terms of the sixth man of the week, I'm going to give it to Lonzo Ball. To me, it's between Lonzo Ball and Jalen Smith for the sixth man of the week. I was kind of trying to compare the stats, see who I would go with. Sometimes I just run with it on the fly. The reason why I'm giving it to Lonzo Ball is because he had a couple of nice rebounding and assist games. Again, statistically, it doesn't shock you or wow you, but defensively, he was engaged as well. I think he's my sixth man of the week. So, all the awards given. Hallelujah. I need to be more prepared. I say that every time, but maybe I don't think I'll ever learn, to be honest. The next game, we got a couple of games to look forward to this week, ladies and gentlemen. More specifically, we got 3 games to look forward to this week. The first one is against the San Antonio Spurs at home. Last time we played the Spurs, we did win the game, but there was no Victor Wembanyama, and we had a massive advantage in the paint that in that game specifically, we took advantage of. We'll see what happens in this one. This one will be at home. Maybe the home crowd advantage can give us the edge. Then, a game against the Pacers. That game I think can go back and forth. We tend to have really good games against the Pacers. Maybe this one could be the same. And then our last game could be a redemption game against the Wizards. This, to me, is going to be the perfect game to kind of see what type of mentality they have. Will they have a roll out of bed and not try type of mentality, especially at home against the Wizards? Or are they going to have a little bit of a fire underneath them? Because getting embarrassed by the Wizards is not a nice feeling. They have a chance to redeem that this week. Will they get the chance? Will they take the chance? Or will the Wizards steamroll through them again? And the Bulls left wondering, why can't they just simply put to bed a team they should be putting to bed, tucking them in real nice and whatnot? So, you know what? We could win all 3 of these games. I look at all 3 of these games and I say they're winnable for the Bulls. But I'm going to stick to the usual 2-1 because I can't trust the Bulls to go and get a 3-game win streak these days. What do you think? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care, and peace.